Shadow.
The ultimate life form.
End of
Chaos control.
Space
Desperation.
Supersonic.
Collision.
Untamed power.
Maria.
Chaos.
Professor Gerald.
The truth about 50 years ago.
Everything.
So most of you by now have probably heard the news that Shadow the Hedgehog is to be voiced by Keanu Reeves. While I will discuss if he is truly fit for the role, let me begin by saying I don't think that this is a bad decision at all. Obviously, voice direction and voice acting skills go a long way, so it could potentially be perfect. But there are also reasons it could go very, very bad. And it all has to do with the characterization of Shadow, something that even Sonic Team themselves have not been able to get right in recent memory. Shadow for a long time has been one of my most favourite characters in fiction. I know it's a bit shocking. Listen, I don't think he's the best written character ever, or even the games that he appears in are of the highest quality. This is more of a personal preference type of thing. It all started when I was a young child playing Sonic Heroes for the first time. I got to that team selection screen, and of course I was gonna pick whatever team Sonic was on. After dying, I got back to the team selection screen, but this time I hovered over Team Dark, and therein a switch fired off in my brain. There was something about this Shadow character, his design, that truly captivated me. A lot of the rivals for Sonic are obviously designed with him in mind. Take Knuckles for example. Sonic is blue, so Knuckles is red. Sonic is a hedgehog with big spikes. Knuckles is an echidna with smaller spikes. Okay, maybe that's a dead comparison, but Shadow, he was the dark reflection of Sonic, like yin and yang, where Sonic had a simpler design, solid blue color and big red shoes. Shadow's design is more complex, sleeker, like a newer model of an old car, where Sonic spikes are downward, Shadow's are upturned. Rounded shoes are traded for elaborate rocket boots, and big white gloves, typical of other mascots of the time, are replaced with fancy gold rings and intricate cuffs. It's important to note that Shadow is the dark version of Sonic, as opposed to directly evil. Does spend much of his first appearance as a villain, but quickly turns to the side of good once he gets over his misunderstandings. Which, not gonna lie, is actually kind of a common theme among Sonic rivals, like Knuckles as well. He was working for Robotnik until he realized the guy was literally insane.
It all starts with this, a jewel containing the ultimate power.
Shadow makes his first appearance in Sonic Adventure 2, and unfortunately, this is also where his character peaks in terms of writing. For me, this game is the canon ending to the story of this character. So while there is stuff added and retconned in later games, the timeline of Sonic games are too wibbly and wobbly for me to care about them. What we will do is discuss the portrayal of Shadow in later games, and how I think it works to undermine the first iteration. So, we first meet Shadow securely stored in a secret military base. He is woken up after 50 years of deep slumber by the titular antagonist Dr. Eggman. I can't lie, those are some big words. And Shadow, like some flippin' genie, decides to grant his new master a singular wish, after of course displaying his ultimate power. Dr. Eggman had learnt of a weapon his grandfather supposedly created, so powerful and feared that the military forcibly shut it down.
Let's take a look at what my grandfather was working on. A top secret military weapon. The military shut down the research because they feared it.
We learn through Eggman's eyes that this weapon was indeed Shadow, dubbed the ultimate life form. Shadow is the living weapon archetype, much like Wolverine from the X-Men. While I would love to go into the lore of Shadow's creation, I would just be stealing someone else's video. So if you're interested, I recommend this video by Chalmix. To summarize, Shadow was created as a result of the military's lust for power. Specifically, they wanted the power of immortality. General Robotnik initially refused the military's wishes, but achieving immortality could aid humanity immensely, specifically his niece, Maria Robotnik, who had a chronic illness that, as of yet, had no cure. So Gerald resolved to create something that could produce immortality. The first prototype in this project resulted in the biolizard.
Could this be the prototype of the ultimate life form that was supposed to be encapsulated?
Leave this one to me.
I'll take care of this while you run to get the Chaos Emeralds!
The biolizard, a creature that could utilize the unlimited power of the Chaos Emeralds, but it was ineffective, so Gerald looked elsewhere. There is evidence in Sonic lore to suggest that Shadow's creation was directly inspired from prophecy, a prophecy that depicted what was later known to be an image of Sonic himself in his super form fighting against Dr. Robotnik in space. Come on guys, stay with me. It certainly makes sense because Shadow is often mistaken for Sonic. Maybe because he was directly inspired by a form of him. Even his design, Shadow's clothes are upturned, much like how Sonic looks when he achieves his golden state. Whatever it was, the ultimate life form was a success, a completely autonomous being imbued with supernatural speed, power and strength. However, Shadow was created to be a tool for the military. Such utilization could easily breed corruption. And so, the soul of Shadow the Hedgehog was based upon Maria Robotnik, a selfless, kind-hearted young girl. Of course, this meant the two had a strong bond as Shadow began to mature. Much of Shadow's worldview and morals he had adopted off of Maria and Gerald. He had learned Gerald wished to help the world through science, and so this became Shadow's wish too, to help the world. Something to note here. Being a top secret project, the whole of Shadow's upbringing alongside Maria was off-world upon a satellite colony. What he could see of Earth, the planet he was supposed to help and love, was just a distant blue orb. There was a sort of yearning from him to go down and explore the planet. To him, this would help define his purpose and who exactly he was meant to be. However, everything came crashing down when the military slammed the brakes on Project Shadow. With the aim of maintaining secrecy, they executed everyone upon the satellite colony. But Maria, in her dying act, had managed to save Shadow, ejecting him towards Earth. And so, here it is, his last memory of humanity, them mercilessly gunning down the only people he had ever known. Gerald had been imprisoned, and seeking revenge from the death of his beloved granddaughter, he re-engineered Shadow as his weapon to one day enact his doomsday plan to destroy the planet. So this is why when we pick up with Eggman, Shadow is seemingly evil and following the motions of Dr. Eggman. And so within Sonic Adventure 2 we see Gerald's plan take place. By the end, Shadow fights against his creator's orders and remembers Maria's dying words. Her hope for him to protect the people and world she loved so dearly. A hope that he is reminded of in people he encounters like Rouge, Amy, and even Sonic. At the end of Sonic Adventure 2, Shadow sacrifices himself to save Earth, and we never see him again. Until they fucking bring him back, what the hell.
I don't know who you are, but I will destroy you.
So now we get into the real part of the video, discussing what exactly I expect from Keanu's portrayal as Shadow in Sonic 3. Shadow will obviously play an antagonist for the first half of the movie as he does in SA2. In that game he's presented as mysterious, dark and cold, but never evil. Like I said, he literally introduces himself like a mystical genie. Looking deeper, perhaps there's an air of youthful arrogance about him. When opposing Sonic, he taunts his rival instead of just taking him out, he's showing off to him. Let's remember that Shadow is actually quite young in his first appearance. Even though he wakes up 50 years later, it's kind of a Captain America situation where his body was frozen. So he hadn't really lived that many years. In later games, you wouldn't be able to tell that Shadow is meant to be young. His tone and expressions are usually older and angry. He constantly pushes the people around him away, especially Sonic, adopting the lone protector kind of persona. Some Sigma, which is a shame because in SA2, Shadow showcases a variety of emotions throughout the game. In fact, Shadow actually cares a lot about the people around him, even Sonic.
Sonic, you're out of rings. You will lose your super form. I'll collect the rings. Now it's up to you, Sonic. It's up to you, Sonic. All right, this is working. Sonic, how are you doing? Sonic, leave it to me. I'll destroy him.
Where later games tried to push Shadow as that introverted, angry edgelord opposite to Sonic as the energetic, curious adventurer, I'd argue that Sonic and Shadow are meant to be more similar than we thought. They parallel each other. Shadow is gentle, curious, and empathetic.
That was so unexpected, so unlike you, Shadow, to come and rescue me. But your ability to use the chaos control certainly comes in handy.
You know, I didn't come to save you.
Liar!
Shadow, what do you think it's like on Earth?
The professor said his life's work was dedicated to all of those who live down there. He once told that the reason for his existence was making people happy through the power of science.
Shadow.
Maria, I just don't know anything anymore. I often wonder why I was created, what my purpose is for being here. Maybe if I go down there, I will find the answers. Maybe.
I know that people fight over the most trivial things. Some people may be selfish, like the professor said. But they're basically good if they try their best and never give up on their wishes. They always have a reason to be happy. That's why you should help them out. Saving them is a good thing. Shadow, I beg you, please do it for them. Give them a chance.
Shadow, I beg of you, please, do it for me.
Maria!
A better future for all people who live on that planet. Give them a chance to be happy. Let them live for their dreams. Shadow, I know you can do it. That's the reason why you were brought into this world. Sayonara, Shadow the
I
Hedgehog.
promised her, and I must keep that promise. That's what
Shadow?
Maria wished for. I've got to go now. I have to keep my promise to Maria and you.
All qualities that Sonic possesses, due to their shared trait of ego, they come into conflict, both referring to each other as a lesser version, a fake.
So, where do you think you're going with that emerald? Say something, you fake hedgehog!
But at the root of each, they are full of compassion. The stark difference between the two is that Sonic is boisterous, where Shadow is generally more reserved. He wouldn't push away Sonic. He's not like Vegeta seeking to get stronger than Kakarot. Sonic inspires him. Perhaps he sees much of Maria inside of Sonic. She too was locked up inside of the satellite colony due to her illness, never to visit the place she loved so much.
Sonic, I think I've discovered what the ultimate life form is. It might be you.
I want to talk about this line a bit. In SA2, both hedgehogs go the entire game referring to each other as a faker, but towards the end, when Shadow has realized his promise to Maria once again, he sees past his arrogance. A lot of the time in later games, Shadow is gonna say he's the ultimate life form, and it comes off as this ego edgelord thing, wherein most of the time he's not really showcasing much of a power difference to his blue counterpart. I think it's a misunderstanding of his character to consider himself the ultimate life form. The military wanted him to be it, as they saw him as a weapon. If any being is to be considered ultimate, they shouldn't be labelled as such for their capacity to destroy, rather their ability to conserve, to live.
What you see is what you get. Just a guy that loves adventure. I'm Sonic the Hedgehog!
Is that too deep? So hopefully I've now defined what I think is the true character of Shadow the Hedgehog. Now I want to evaluate Keanu as Shadow. Is it a good choice? To answer bluntly, we actually just have to wait for the movie to come out. But that's not that interesting, is it? So let's dive a bit deeper. If you couldn't tell right now, David Humphrey is my favourite portrayal of Shadow. I think he completely nailed the essence of the character. Suave and charming, dark and mysterious, while showcasing a wider range of emotion. I love Jason Griffith. For a long time he was Shadow to me, but his voice is constantly gritty and deep. While it is cool, Shadow is certainly more than a raspy edgelord. We know he's great as Sonic, so given better games and voice direction, I think he certainly had potential. I think in this instance, Keanu would line up more with Jason Griffith. He has that naturally deep voice. He's played characters who have that similar grit.
Make arrangements.
No need. I already know exactly where I'm going.
And he's also played those who have charm to them. Obviously, being a renowned actor, he's gonna be capable of showcasing that necessary emotion. But my thing is, he is, but more importantly, sounds like a grown ass man. So I struggle to see how he's gonna be able to portray this kind of emo, curious teenager. But you could say the same for Idris Elba as Knuckles, and they definitely made that work. My main concern is that I hope the voice direction and characterization for Shadow is based upon the pre-2005 era of Sonic, primarily how he was written in Sonic Adventure 2. I don't think the post-2005 version of the character is nearly as interesting or expressive to helm a movie.
You've got to be kidding me, guys. This is like taking candy from a baby, which is fine by me.
Personally, Keanu wasn't my first pick to play Shadow. I know. We're all meant to love Keanu, and yeah, he's cool, man, but you know, he's done the voice acting work before, has a deep voice, blah blah. But for me, my first choice for the role was Christian Bale. I know, when Shadow was announced for Sonic 3, everyone immediately jumped on the Batman actors. But my reasoning is quite different. Take a listen to Christian Bale as Hal from Howl's Moving Castle.
There you are, sweetheart. Sorry I'm late. I was looking everywhere for you. I'm from the southern coast to the northern border. My own kind attacked me today.
Foolish humans.
I give up. I see no point in living if I can't be beautiful.
I don't know who you are, but I will destroy you.
Sophie! You sabotaged me! Look! That's it! Leave it to me! I'll destroy him! Here I come, you creep!
I'm sorry, Sophie. I should have gotten here sooner.
I truly believe that this is the perfect voice for a movie adaptation of Sonic the Hedgehog. Whoa, sorry guys, Shadow the Hedgehog. He showcases all of that emotional range whilst having that darker undertone needed in a character like Shadow. Another favourite of mine, albeit a less suited actor than Keanu, but I do think given the right direction could have been great, and that is Hayden Christensen. I do think Anakin sounds a lot like David Humphrey as Shadow.
Liar! I'll show you the true power of chaos control!
My powers have doubled since the last time we met, Count.
I'm Shadow the Hedgehog, the one and only ultimate life form.
This is the ultimate power!
He's obviously a lot older now than he was when he was playing Anakin, but he sounds pretty much the same. Now I should stay. I don't by any means dislike Keanu as Shadow. I'll have to be honest, I've barely watched any of his movies, and if you've been a fan of the channel, you'll know why that isn't a crazy thing. So I would say I don't know the extent of his vocal talents, and of course, that isn't the only factor going into voice acting performances. For me, it seems as if the choice of Keanu is an indication in an attempt to make Shadow look cooler that they're going to continue with his portrayal from recent games, which is not that interesting as he barely makes any appearances. so I can't lie, I ain't even got anything to say about them. But it's essentially what I was saying before. They forget about the selfless, emotional side of the character and hone in on his aggression, darkness and power. Having watched Sonic and Sonic 2, Sonic's focus on family and friendship makes me hopeful a bit, as this does resonate with Shadow's character. I'm not going to try and make any predictions for the movie. Let me know if I should make that video. But all in all, I'm excited to see Keanu as Shadow. I mean, you know he's gonna be a bad motherfucker. So there's bound to be some iconic scenes with him. I heard they gave him his motorcycle, which is maybe not
This is like
the
taking
best of
candy from a
signs.
baby.
But let me not be a hater. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.
Where is Shadow? Do you really think that the professor created him, Shadow, to carry out the revenge on all those who live here on Earth?
He was what he was, a brave and heroic hedgehog who gave his life to save this planet. Shadow the Hedgehog.
I guess you're right.
Alright, so I just wanted to come on and record this little short segment because if you haven't heard the news, I have just hit 700 subscribers. If you heard me, I'm smacking my hands there for emphasis. 700. It's so crazy, man. And I always say this every time I reach a new milestone. I never expected this, because for me, a lot of the time I struggle with putting out content because sometimes it doesn't get the reception I like. But to see people continuously subscribing and breaking milestones on my channel, like 600, I don't even remember being on 600 subscribers, because we literally just hit 700 so quickly. But yeah, just to see that form of support, it just means a lot, man. Like, and I just want to thank you guys. Obviously not possible without people subscribing. I'm not even that type of YouTuber to be like, hey guys, like and subscribe. Like, I try to say it, sometimes I forget. So I'm gonna start doing that now. So if you guys did enjoy this video, like and subscribe, because you know I'm trying to hit that 800, then 900, then one day 1000, hopefully. But listen, thank you all. More videos coming. Right now I'm a little busy, so we'll see what we can do. But thank you, just thank you guys. Come on, let's go.